Your news for the state of Tennessee in about 10 minutes. Tennessee in 10 starts now.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Hera. Our Investigates team has just uncovered something that's happening across the country you've probably never heard of. People taking their own lives with rented guns at gun ranges. A family in Westmoreland contacted us to share their story. They say that by law, their son never should have had access to a gun in the first place.
He's just tired of dealing with his mental struggles that he dealt with.
Were you almost relieved that he couldn't have access to a gun?
Yes, I was.
Eric Rich's mother says she was struggling to get her son help, but she took solace in the fact that his felony criminal background meant that he couldn't have access to guns. But in January, a police report shows that Rich walked into a Gallatin gun range in Middle Tennessee, rented a gun, and took his own life. In Tennessee, there is no criminal background check for renting a gun, so Rich was able to get a weapon. A similar story was also reported out of Virginia.
He texted me, "I love you very, very much." And then 43 minutes later, he killed himself.
How is he getting a gun? He's got paranoid schizophrenia.
Two mothers say both of their sons took their lives at a gun range in Virginia. Both had been committed to mental institutions, but were still able to get weapons at the range. Our investigation found reports of suicides at gun ranges in multiple states. Rich's family now wants Tennessee to allow gun ranges to conduct background checks on people who rent guns at ranges. The TBI says there is no way for gun ranges to get access to the federal data. Now to the state murder trial against 3 former Memphis police officers charged in the death of Tyrie Nichols. The defense so far has called 9 witnesses. 6 of those witnesses were called during yesterday's session, including the fired EMT who treated Tyrie Nichols at the scene of his arrest. Robert Long said he had to call for a paramedic because he knew that Nichols needed more help, even though at the time Nichols was conscious and able to speak. Former officer Justin Smith's attorney, Martin Zumack, says Smith asked paramedics if Nichols was okay several times and even called dispatch for medical help. The defense questioned Long about whether or not first responders did enough to help Nichols.
You remember him saying that the person had been tased?
Yes, sir.
Pepper sprayed?
Yes, sir.
And fighting with the officers?
Yes, sir.
So you remember that specifically from that first conversation that you'd had. It had just been moments before you go to the second scene.
The former Memphis police officers on trial are pleading not guilty to their 7-count indictment from the state, which includes second-degree murder. More people are getting out on the water as we get closer to summer. Tennessee officials want to make sure that everybody stays safe. So Tennessee state parks are offering kayaking classes, and there is still time to sign up. The class kicks off Saturday, May 17th. This is the 4th year for the program, which teaches more than 100 people every year how to kayak. $15 for a class per person, but there are limited spots. You can register now on the Tennessee State Parks website. And depending on when you go out on the water, could be nice this weekend, Stefano, but today we've got some bumpy weather.
We certainly do. Now, it's an elevated severe weather risk across a lot of the state as we head through today, level 2 and even 3 out of 5 on that threat scale. So just know that everybody needs to stay weather ready this afternoon, heading into this evening. There may even be a couple of thunderstorms that sneak in over the next few hours this morning. Tomorrow, lower end severe threat, Middle Tennessee, far East Tennessee as well. Looks like we should be in the clear of any severe weather through our Saturday afternoon off to the west. Now for today, main concern, damaging wind gusts with any thunderstorm. Heavy rainfall definitely, but it's just that there's not going to be any major flash flooding. Could there be areas of poor drainage that have a tough time keeping up? Absolutely. I mean, heavier downpours can always cause problems in and themselves. Hail with any thunderstorm as well. Tornado threat very low. Not necessarily zero. It's something we'll keep an eye out for. As we head through the next couple of hours, more organized storms will approach far west Tennessee. Tiptonville, Memphis should happen around that lunch hour, give or take about an hour. By Middle Tennessee, it's right at the evening commute, 3, 4, and 5 o'clock, and then dinner time as well as we get out toward the plateau and parts of East Middle Tennessee as well. Or East Tennessee, I should say. That's when this line of storms should start to weaken and fall apart a little bit. Couple of leftover showers into our night tonight, a few more showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow. Honestly, it looks like storms will fire up a little bit more as they get out toward East Tennessee sometime in the mid-afternoon. Many of us will start to dry out from west to east in the beginning of the afternoon, all the way back in West Tennessee. Middle Tennessee will start to dry out mid to late afternoon. It won't be until late in the evening, though, that we dry out completely across a good amount of the area. Amanda.
Architects in West Tennessee trying to stabilize the historic Clayborn Temple. The civil rights landmark in Memphis burned on Monday while investigators are trying to figure out what caused the fire. We're learning a little bit more about what comes next. This was the last place Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke before he was killed the next day. Architects are trying to revitalize the structure and save what's left of the pieces of history that the building holds, like the stained glass windows.
Each of those artists did such incredible work in creating a story around the civil rights movement and the history of historic Clayborn Temple that was expressed through the stained glass.
Clayborn Temple is part of the National Register of Historic Places, so there are pretty specific guidelines that the architects must follow. If you're planning a trip to Gatlinburg soon, police warn there is a rise in bear activity. To stay safe, do not feed bears, don't leave out food, secure your trash. Last month, 3 bears were euthanized because they had become conditioned to eat human food. They broke into a woman's car to get her groceries and then later dragged her off her porch. Police say if you're visiting Gatlinburg or areas with bears, lock up your trash, clean grills, and lock your car doors. Belmont is expanding its program focused on Dolly Parton. They launched Dolly U this semester, and in the fall, the university plans to add even more courses. Classes are centered on her musical, which will be on Broadway next year. This fall, 4 new courses within the program will focus on making and editing the documentary. Another course goes through her songwriting techniques and the cultural impact of her work. There's also a class on market research and how it connects to her musical. Before Dolly's musical hits Broadway, it's going to premiere at Belmont University in Nashville for a month. Tickets are still available, but a couple of shows are already sold out. Well, thanks for watching Tennessee in 10. We're going to send you back to Local News Live, our parent company's streaming news service. Have a great day and a great weekend.
This is Tennessee in 10, streaming your news and weather across the state in about 10 minutes.